His wish come true, and he wished his dad was still alive. And we realized he messed everything up and we need to send him back. And Sam is supposed to crush the marble with the pot, and he's supposed to disappear. Well, it was the wrong marble. It was the not crushable marble. And instead of crushing, it shot out like a BB out of a gun and hit Jeff in just the wrong place. But I was holding his hand, and Jensen and Jared just dropped to the floor and started rolling around, and I was like, I missed it because I was standing looking at Jeff, and it shot from over there, and they're just rolling. I'm like, what's happening? And meanwhile, Jeff is squeezing my hand so hard. I'm like, and then I realized I saw the marble rolling along the ground, and Jeff just started, and the camera guys, everyone had been crying until that point. Like the camera, like Brad, and everyone's like crying, and the scene's all crying, and we're all crying, and then everyone just dropped, and then we laughed for probably 15 minutes. Like none of us could stop. Poor Jeff was such a trooper, he really recovered. But then we couldn't stop laughing. We'd start filming, and it was just, like, come on, get it together. So that might have been like the biggest laugh. But there was like, I had to have a fight with Jensen in one episode. We're screaming at each other. It was awful. It was awful. And then at the end, we're both like, but there's so many memorable, like, poignant moments where we're all like tearful, and it's just, and because we love each other so much as people, it leads into the characters. So when you're fighting with someone, you feel it. And when you have a loving moment with someone, you really feel it even more. So can't be as specific. I mean, there's millions. Burning on the ceiling was pretty memorable. Torturing Alex for killing me accidentally was pretty fun. But you know, I don't have a specific. There were just so many. My last scene was with Misha, and it was sort of my goodbye to the show. And he was so lovely. And that was a really nice moment as well.
It's hard to just pick one. Yeah, there's a lot. I guess if I had to pick one, it's on the gag reel as well in season 5. Ash had to shotgun a beer. I don't drink, it's not my thing. I've never shotgunned a beer in my life. So Jensen was like, I've never shotgunned a beer. I'm like, nah. He's like, well, let me teach you. It's my terrible Jensen impression. So he comes over and he's like, all right, so this is what you want to do. And he's like showing me how to like shotgun this beer. And movie beer, set beer is terrible. It smells like sulfur. It's nasty. There's no alcohol in it. It's just nasty. My sister would have to be visiting that day on set. She loves Jensen. So as Jensen was like showing me how to shotgun this beer, my sister is literally like behind him losing her shit. Just like trying to hold her shit together. That was a pretty cute moment. She was totally geeking out over Jensen and just could not believe what was happening. So he shows me how to do the beer and whatnot, and then in the take, I had taken the beer back, but again, I'm terrible at drinking. I didn't realize that the mouth of the beer was pouring out this way, right? So as I'm shooting it, the beer is dripping all over my mullet, and it's just coming down. It's just all over my body, and I don't realize it until I look at Jared and Jensen, who are across from me, and they have tears coming down their faces. And unbeknownst to me, I had been pouring the beer all over myself the entire time. And then I just went with it. I didn't break. I was just like, fuck it, let's just go. And then Jensen was like, cut. He couldn't take it anymore. And the whole crew and cast started laughing. And it was really important. And the hair lady came up to me and said, thank you, we all needed that. Because it was kind of a hard day, and there was a lot of tension on set. And sometimes you need those moments to okay, realize why we're here. And so it was a great tension breaker. So we'll go with that moment. Yeah. Thanks. Yes.
Favorite
favorite childhood pets and why?
Great question. Favorite childhood pets and why?
I didn't have that many childhood pets. We had some fish. We had mice. We had chameleons. But my favorite had to be my dog. My mom was out for a jog and found this puppy that somebody had tossed out like off of underpass. We brought it home, and my dad was a major in the Air Force, so we had to name him captain, so we would outrank him. And we had him for like 16 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go with dogs, man. I mean, dogs throughout our life, you know, like pets. We need them. We need them. And especially with dog people, I mean, little angels, man. Seriously, they're here to like, you know, help us. It's hard. Life's tough, you know? And when those tears come down my eye after something really happened, you know, guess who's the first person on top of me? My dog, Lena, licking those tears away, man, and that's priceless. So, it's always been dogs from childhood to now. Yeah, good question, huh?
Do you miss your mullet?
Do I miss the mullet? Hell yeah! Hell yeah! In fact, I hope that mullet is going to be in a museum. It's going to be in a glass case. I talked about this before. It's going to be in a glass case, okay? There's going to be like light shining down on it. There's going to be music playing, like angel hymns in the background. Constantly. So if that mullet is not even in a museum somewhere where it can be appreciated and seen, I will be very disappointed. Do you hear how serious I am about this? The mullet. So yeah, I miss it. I miss it. Funny story about the mullet. It was given to me after season 2. Because they killed me. Awesome. It happens a lot. They killed me and they
Cry me a
okay.
river there, dude.
Huh?
I said, cry me a river.
Totally. It's the story of my life. So I was given the mullet. So I had the mullet with me. A few years passed by, and I was going out on an audition with like some other guy with a mullet. So my neighbor at the time was a hairdresser, and I'm like, "Yo, man, can you just take like 2 or 3 inches off this thing?" And he's like, "Yeah, it'd be great. We'll make it sexy and cool." So he did. He cut that mullet basically in half. Would not believe the call that I got about 7 months later. Hey, great news. We want to have you back on Supernatural. No kidding. That's great. I got a message from the hairdresser. Please tell me that you have the mullet. I said, yeah, I do. But it's a little shorter. So, no one noticed. The producers never noticed. When you go back and watch season 5, that mullet is sexier. That mullet, it's like thinner. There's a couple of inches off of it. Take a look. Season 2 mullet, much different than season 5 mullet. There it is. Mullet talk.
Listen, you just got a great little haircut in heaven. That's what
Yeah, totally. It's whatever you want. It's whatever you want. How much time do we have? Still good? About 15 minutes, cool. More questions, comments, concerns? Yes. The question was, how do I feel about where the Fast and the Furious franchise has gone? How many Fast and Furious fans do we have in the house? Quite a few. What's up there, guys? We never saw that coming. Not even the original. Like I said, my mom's in the audience here, and I booked that movie when I was very young, like 23, 45 now, okay? I was very young, and I actually turned down the audition twice because I thought I was this independent actor and I wanted to do serious movies and I didn't want to play the geek again, which I played a lot of computer geeks, which is awesome now. At the time, I'm like, no, I'm Leo. No. Okay. So we did this amazing movie, right? And they had pushed it back to summer release. My mom says, hey, do you want to do a premiere back home? Because I'm from a small town in Washington. Do you want to have a premiere back home so everybody can come see it? I go, Mom, no one's ever going to see this film. I said those exact words. The movie came out, changed my life forever. I started getting attacked in malls, restaurants, mauled everywhere I went. And it was very overwhelming. And this movie became a huge success, right? And then some time went on, and of course, they killed me in that as well, okay? But then, they keep making these movies. There's 2, 3, okay, we must be done. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10 and a half, or whatever they're gonna do. It's pretty amazing. Usually you do a film and it just goes on the shelf and you're like, oh, that movie, that's cool. No, this thing has made 10 sequels, which is incredible. And it's the reason that that movie is still relevant to these days. It started the whole car scene. Actually, the car scene was already rising, right? And then that movie sort of put it on the map. And I think it's wonderful what they've done. Paul will be missed forever. You know, Paul Walker, one of the most amazing human beings that ever walked this earth. And the original was just a pure time. Nobody was famous yet. It was just this organic summer movie that, you know, maybe it might do well. And it actually became a cultural phenomenon. So I applaud what they've done, you know. Of course, they had to kill me, and I'm like, really, guys? 10 movies? You're kidding me. Oh, they've made billions of dollars. Yeah, that's great. But no matter what, it always goes back to number one. No matter how many Hobbs and Shaws they do, no matter how many this they do, it's always going to go back to number one. So thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. Questions, comments, concerns? Yes.
I've always heard about the pranks they pull on Supernatural. Was y'all involved in these?
Any pranks from the guys on Supernatural that you can recall?
No, they're afraid of their mother. They would not do it. They also know I retaliate twice as hard.
Best answer I've heard, actually, because that question is brought up all the time. That's the best answer. And
It's true.
What can you say to that? When we started, you know, like I was in season 2, they hadn't really settled into the pranks just yet. You know, I think once Misha came along and once the show kind of like took its thing, that's when the guys were really feeling themselves. And let me tell you, season 5, Jared and Jensen was a completely different season 2, Jared and Jensen. In season 5, Jared and Jensen, they love, you know, you have to shoot a scene, you have to shoot it wide, you have to do coverage. There's a lot of pieces you have to get. So we'll get the guys, you gotta get the guys, right? Sam and Dean, you gotta get those guys. Okay, and then we're gonna turn around on Dr. Badass, okay? Great, so you really gotta focus, you gotta bring your shit. However, you're looking across the, you know, the camera, and behind the camera, you got Jared and Jensen making really obscene gestures. Really obscene gestures, trying to get you to break and laugh, ruin your coverage. And I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. It's tough, but that's real acting.
It's acting in the bunk.
Exactly. But when they do that, it's because they love you. That's it. I mean, that's what it's all about. And that's how it should be, you know? And sometimes you get really great performances when, I don't know, when people are making faces at you because you have to like really like bring it.
The one I felt bad for was Alex, because he got it from every side. Like when Alex came on in like season 13, he was a baby, and he was older than he looked, but he was a literal baby on the show. And they tortured, well, first of all, they started off torturing Misha, and then Misha was so happy to be like, pay it forward. And then the three of them, like the outtakes, and just being on set with poor Alex would just be like, he would just give up. He's like,
You have to.
I can't. He would just try not to look at them, because you know Jack is a very serious. He has no sense of humor. Torture.
No, yeah.
Torture.
Yeah.
Not as much as they torture Misha in a different way.
But Misha really, he'll bring it back around. Like that guy comes from like way out here, you know what I mean? Like one of the most fascinating individuals you'll ever meet. And he's one of those, you're like, does he like me? Does Misha, you're like, is he messing with me right now? I don't know. Yeah, wonderful people. Anybody else? Before we wrap it up, we have another 10-ish minutes-ish. Burning questions like, God, I wish I would have asked that. I didn't ask that. Okay, I'll come back to the rocks. Besides Fast, or what is your favorite project, I guess, that you've ever done?
Well, I always wanted to play Lara Croft, and that wasn't going to happen. But I feel like in the end, I got to play Lara Croft, kind of on Supernatural.
You did.
Let's see. I love